Buenas a todos. Estamos hoy probando los directos de YouTube por primera vez. A ver qué tal sale.
Undocking in Crew Dragon looks a little bit different than undocking in a Soyuz spacecraft. There are
Están a
no
punto de
springs
hacer
that push
el
the vehicle away
desacoplamiento de
from the
la
space
Crew
station, so
Dragon.
instead we'll see the vehicle fire 2 short burns from those service section
Lo van
Draco
a situar
thrusters,
en
and
otro
that will
lado de
break
la
any
ISS
stiction between Crew Dragon
y de
and the
esta
space
forma
station.
acoplarán la nueva Crew Dragon que saldrá dentro de unos días. La acoplarán en el sitio en el que está ahora mismo. En este mismo sitio que vemos aquí.
You can see the nose cone open on Crew Dragon right now. There are also some forward bulkhead thrusters that live underneath the nose cone, but of course we won't be using those today. These service section Dracos are used for maneuvers when we are around the International Space Station and need to be very careful of Dragon's position.
La verdad es que las cámaras están muy bien posicionadas para verlo todo perfectamente.
We're about a minute away.
This view over the shoulders of Mike Hopkins and Victor Glover as they look at the displays on Crew Dragon. As we've mentioned, this is an autonomous vehicle, and so there will be a few commands sent by the crew today, but Kate Rubins is monitoring from the space station.
On the big loop, undock sequence commanded.
Copy, Susan.
And right on time at 5:25 a.m. Central, we have confirmation that the undock sequence has begun, that command being sent to Crew Dragon to begin opening up those hooks.
And just prior to this, the vestibule depress did complete. We didn't hear a call out, but the vestibule is the space between Dragon and station hatches that will be exposed.
Umbilical demate completed nominal.
You heard the call that the umbilicals are starting to retract. The vestibule is the space between Dragon and station hatches that will be exposed to the vacuum of space following undocking. Ground controllers command Dragon to begin to depress, opening a valve on the Dragon side to slowly remove the air from the vestibule. Once completed, the teams then execute leak checks on Dragon and station to ensure both sides are airtight prior to the undocking command that was just sent. And we reverse this process once Dragon is docked, taking air from the station and pressurizing the vestibule before hatches are reopened.
Bueno, parecía que iba a ser inminente y que iba a ser ya el desacoplamiento. Parece que están tardando un pelín más.
Things continuing smoothly for Crew Dragon. We heard that the umbilical had successfully retracted, and now the hooks are opening. There are 2 sets of 6, meaning 12 hooks in total, and we are watching those hooks retract. Hearing nominal calls here on the ground, meaning everything is looking good.
Y parece que se va a desacoplar en unos instantes.
Now on screen is the Dragon Resilient spacecraft. Dragon is comprised of 2 parts. The right-hand side, the
Set of hooks open and nominal.
Continuing to hear good news. The first set of hooks has opened up nominally. The conical section, the right-hand side of Dragon, that is where the crew is at. That is the capsule portion of the Dragon vehicle. On the left-hand side, the left half is the trunk section. You'll notice that the top half is black. Those are solar panels built into the trunk. If you've been following the Dragon program, you'll know that the Dragon 1 configuration had solar arrays that would deploy post liftoff, but this was one of the upgrades to the Dragon vehicle.
Bueno, en principio tendría que ser a las 12:30.
In that trunk portion, there can be unpressurized cargo delivered to station. And as we mentioned, the spacecraft itself on the right, Crew Dragon, is the only piece that returns to Earth. That trunk is jettisoned prior to the astronauts re-entering Earth's atmosphere, and that burns up harmlessly over the ocean. However, Crew Dragon itself splashes down.
Primer plano enfocado ahí.
Second set of hooks continues to open, and we will be watching for physical movement and physical separation of the Crew Dragon vehicle from the International Space Station shortly.
Bueno, ya están comentando que vamos a verlo físicamente la separación de un momento a otro.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, all hooks open and nominal.
Ahí está abriéndose.
And you can
Ahí
see
está
on
separándose
screen,
la Crew
Dragon
Dragon
Museum spacecraft
de este
has
módulo de la
undocked from the
ISS.
International Space Station
Muy buenas
at
imágenes nos está ofreciendo la
3:30.
NASA.
Dragon separation confirmed.
And what have you
Recordamos
see
que
at
esto está viajando a
3:30?
una velocidad de unos 7 kilómetros por segundo.
Dragon
A miles de
spacecraft has
kilómetros por hora,
undocked from
a
the International Space
430
Station
y pico
at approximately
kilómetros de altitud
3:30
sobre
Central
la Tierra.
Time, just off the coast of West Africa or Liberia.
Están diciendo que está más o menos situada sobre
So we had a
el
couple of
oeste,
undocking burns. The first burn
sureste de
lasted
África,
about
sobre Liberia.
Relocate burn 0 complete and nominal.
Bueno, pues se está alejando. Se está alejando poco a poco
we had a
de
couple
la
of burns.
ISS.
The first undocking
Esperemos
burn
que
was
funcionen
about
los
a
motores
second and a
y
half, and
vuelvan
the
a
second
ella
burn
para acoplarse
lasted for about 5
en el
seconds.
módulo
And
donde tienen programado.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, we see the same.
A ver, se va yendo cada vez más
you heard the
lejos.
call out just a few seconds ago for the relocation burn 0 that lasted about 21 seconds. Again, we
Buah,
did
qué
get
buenas
confirmation
imágenes nos tienen desde
of
la ISS,
undocking at
es
5:30
increíble.
a.m. Central Time, 10:30 GMT, while the station and Dragon were flying 263 statute miles over the Atlantic Ocean to the south of
Está
Liberia.
sobre el Atlántico, sobre el océano Atlántico,
Everything
Dragon
can...
use.
sobre el sur de Liberia.
Sorry, Lily, go ahead.
Thanks. Everything continuing well for Dragon on its maneuver.
Es increíble.
2 minutes. First slot 4, enable.
La Crew Dragon de SpaceX
ISS
que se ha
enable.
desacoplado con éxito.
Copy,
Ahora
Tinker.
parece que está moviendo la
And now
nave,
about
se
2
está
minutes
para
into this
acercarse al
relocation, which we
módulo
expect to
donde
last
tienen
about 45
pensado
minutes, Crew Dragon continues to back away from its former
conectar
home
de
on
nuevo.
International Docking Adapter 2.
And as it backs up, it is working to acquire LiDAR tracking, which will be used by Dragon to autonomously execute the relocation maneuver. There's a view from Dragon looking and trying to acquire LiDAR from the International Space Station. We're expecting to go straight back about 60 meters.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. We are about to command a hold.
Esta imagen es como si fuera captada desde la Crew Dragon.
Now, if we do go past 60-meter mark, it will approach back to that distance before the relocation maneuver that will bring Dragon above the station to the new docking access, right above the Zenith port.
Asombrosas imágenes las que nos está ofreciendo la NASA. Parece que tienen toda la ISS llena de cámaras.
As Andy mentioned, it has now made it to 83 meters and will move back into 60 meters before maneuvering to bring Dragon above the station.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Ground has confirmed good relative navigation performance. You are go to command, go to relocate, and you are go to raise your visors as well.
Bueno, dicen que parece que toda la maniobra ha estado bien y que ahora van a continuar para la relocalización.
Just heard the crew operations and resources engineer. We also refer to them as core, talking to the astronauts, allowing them to begin relocation to the new docking access.
Crew Dragon continues to hold at that 83-meter mark, but will begin moving soon. However, all of this is taking place today inside the keep-out sphere. That's the 200-meter invisible line around station. That's one of the ways we monitor vehicles as they arrive and depart at the International Space Station.
Esta reubicación, bueno, despejará el camino para que la próxima misión tripulada de la Crew 2, la Crew Dragon 2 de SpaceX, se acople con el puerto orientado hacia adelante del módulo Harmony, módulo PMA-2 de la ISS. Y recordemos que el 22 de abril se lanzará la Crew Dragon 2 con 4 astronautas dentro, la piloto Megan MacArthur.
As you can see, Crew Dragon is still in line with that forward-facing port, and when it relocates, it will be above the International Space Station and dock to the Zenith or space-facing port. Continuing to move in slowly, just under 75 meters now away from the International Space Station.
Y sus 3 compañeros de la tripulación. Os voy a intentar poner unas fotitos.
Right at the center of Dragon, there is a centerline camera, and that is what Dragon is using to line up with the port of the International Space Station.
A ver.
We are 68 meters away. Again, targeting that 60-meter mark before we start to transition upward to the new docking port.
We just got a view of the Earth below Crew Dragon and the International Space Station. They were flying 262 statute miles over Mali.
For those just joining, Crew Dragon undocked about 8 minutes ago at 5:30 Central Time. This is the first port relocation of a Crew Dragon vehicle ever. And right now we're waiting to get inside that 60-meter range from the International Space Station before we begin to transition upward.
And it looks like we're getting very close, just about 61 meters away from the station, so we should expect to hear that 60-meter call shortly.
Aquí las vemos. El comandante Mike Hopkins. Y esta será la tripulación que salga el 22 de abril. Con el comandante Shane Kimbrough, el piloto Megan MacArthur, el astronauta japonés Akihiko Hoshide y el astronauta de la Agencia Espacial Europea Thomas
Crew
Pesquet.
Dragon is at that 60-meter mark. Teams on the ground checking to make sure we are go for that translational maneuver.
Vamos a volver. Espero que se esté oyendo bien.
Dragon SpaceX on the Big Loop. You are go to command relocate transfer to begin the access translation. Reminder that soft capture ring deploy will begin in relocate to access.
Copies, go to relocate transfer in work.
Station Houston on 2 for Kate. Monitor per block Delta. Step 3 in 1.602. Dragon departure monitoring.
1.602. Block Delta, step 3 monitoring.
A ver cómo está el volumen al máximo.
As you can see, Crew Dragon has begun that transfer maneuver and will be moving up to the midpoint. They'll get another go there to continue the maneuver before moving directly above the IDA-3 or International Docking Adapter 3 on the Zenith or space-facing port on the Harmony module.
Impresionante imagen.
We are expecting this relocation maneuver from one axis to the other to take approximately 15 minutes, with reaching the midpoint halfway between that time.
Bueno, parece ser que
This is Crew 1 and the first ever port location of a Crew Dragon. There have been a lot of firsts on this mission, and just a look at who is on board the spacecraft today, starting with Crew Dragon Commander Mike Hopkins. He was born in Lebanon, Missouri, but grew up outside Richland. Selected as an astronaut by NASA in 2009 and is a colonel in the U.S. Space Force. He holds degrees in aerospace engineering. Hopkins previously flew on the Russian Soyuz as a member of the Expedition 37 and 38 crew, and his military experience includes testing C-17 and C-130 aircraft. This year, he's completed 3 spacewalks during the mission to prepare the station for new solar arrays that will arrive on a cargo Dragon later this year, as well as complete other station upgrades.
Next up, as part of the crew, is pilot Victor Glover. He is a native of Pomona, California, and was selected as an astronaut by NASA in 2013. Glover is a commander in the United States Navy. He holds degrees in general engineering, flight test engineering, systems engineering, and military operational art and science. He has extensive military test flight experience, was a test pilot for the FA-18 Hornet, the Super Hornet, and the EA-18G Growler. He has accumulated 3,000 flight hours in more than 40 aircraft and over 400 carrier arrest landings and 24 combat missions. The Crew 1 mission has been Glover's first space flight. He's also completed 3 spacewalks this year, servicing the station's cooling system, installing the final lithium-ion battery for station upgrades, and preparing the Orchid Lab for new solar arrays.
de vuelo, que ha volado en varios tipos de aviones.
Things still moving smoothly for Crew Dragon as it makes its way to the next axis, moving from in front of the IDA, or International Docking Adapter 2, to the Zenith port on the Harmony module, or IDA-3. You can see that perspective start to shift just a little bit. Also on board Crew Dragon today is mission specialist Shannon Walker from Houston, Texas. She was selected as an astronaut by NASA in 2004 and is a doctor of philosophy in space physics. Walker previously flew on the Russian Soyuz as a flight engineer for Expedition 2425 in space for 163 days. She's also one of only a few dozen people to be both an astronaut and an aquanaut, having spent 13 days underwater during NASA's Extreme Environments Mission Operations 15, or NEMO 15. And during that mission, she lived inside the world's only research station beneath the ocean surface. This view inside Mission Control Houston, where NASA teams are monitoring the relocation of Crew Dragon and the systems aboard the International Space Station. We're currently in another satellite handover, and we should regain video and communications with the spacecraft shortly.
On screen right now is Mission Control at SpaceX Hawthorne. The last member on board Dragon today is Mission Specialist Soichi Noguchi from Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan. He was selected as an astronaut by Japan in 1996, has degrees in aeronautical engineering, and is a doctor of philosophy in advanced interdisciplinary studies. He previously flew on STS-114 on the Space Shuttle Discovery and on the Russian Soyuz as a member of the Expedition 2223 crew. While on STS-114, he became the first Japanese astronaut to perform spacewalks on the International Space Station, completing 3 spacewalks totaling 20 hours. Noguchi is only one of 3 people to have flown on 3 different spacecraft, the Space Shuttle, a Russian Soyuz, and now a Crew Dragon.
Crew Dragon continues making its axis transition from in front of the IDA-2 to IDA-3, things moving smoothly and about 57 meters away from the space station.
Both Crew Dragon and the International Space Station are currently still orbiting over the Earth. They're right over the Black Sea right now. Again, we are expecting to reach that midpoint between the two docking axes here in a few minutes.
10 meters away from the space station. And a reminder today, if you're just joining us, of why this port relocation is happening. In just a few weeks, we expect to see Crew 2, the second Crew Dragon long-duration mission, launch to the International Space Station, and they will be docking to the port that was just vacated by Crew 1 aboard Crew Dragon Resilience. And after the departure of Crew 1 for Earth later this month, we also will see the arrival of a cargo Dragon later this summer, bringing new solar arrays to the station. And that zenith or space-facing port is the proper position for those solar arrays to be extracted from Dragon's trunk. Undocking occurred right on time today at 5:30 a.m. Central, 10:30 GMT. Things continue to move smoothly, and we expect to see Dragon make contact with the station once again around 6:15 Central. Coming up shortly, we will reach the midpoint in that axis transition.
At the very top of your screen, you can see the new parking spot for Crew 1. That is the Zenith port. And Dragon again continues to make its way towards that docking access.
Dragon, SpaceX on the Big Loop. Midpoint has been reached.
Dragon copies, we see the same, and we see self-capture ring deploy started.
And a big milestone, you just heard the call out that we have reached the midpoint between the two docking axes. A little bit of what's to come. Dragon will continue its transition maneuver to the Zenith port docking axis. Hold for LiDAR confirmation, and then start making its way towards waypoint 2, which is approximately 20 meters away from the International Space Station. From there, we'll resume docking and final approach with a soft capture, then eventually a hard capture. We're expecting docking to be completed at approximately 6:30 Central Time, 6:30 a.m. Central Time.
There is a soft capture ring on Crew Dragon, and once there is contact between the spacecraft and the International Space Station, that soft capture ring will retract until sensors indicate it's time for hooks to drive and create the hard capture that we'll be looking for around 6:30. That firmly secures Dragon to station. We've mentioned NASA astronaut Kate Rubins is monitoring this maneuver from inside the International Space Station, sending no commands, but watching on from the cupola. There are currently 7 people living on the International Space Station, Kate Rubins, as well as our 4 astronauts we have on Crew Dragon today, Victor Glover, Mike Hopkins, Shannon Walker, and Soichi Noguchi, as well as 2 Roscosmos cosmonauts inside the station, Sergei Ryzhikov and Sergei Kutsverchkov.
Again, there is a view of both the ports. The bottom port is International Docking Adapter 2, where Dragon Resilient spacecraft just undocked from. International IDA-2 was launched on CRS-9 in July of 2016 and attached to the International Space Station in August of that year. First docking on IDA-2 was done on Crew Dragon's Demo 1 mission in March of 2019. And where that blue crosshair is at, that is International Docking Adapter 3. That is our target destination for the Crew Dragon vehicle today. IDA-3 is new. It launched in July of 2019 and attached to the International Space Station August of the same year. First docking on IDA-3 was done on mission CRS-21 in December 2020.
The International Space Station currently flying 264 statute miles over Kazakhstan. As we mentioned, there is a launch coming up this Friday, and that is where the rocket will lift off from, carrying Mark Vande Hei of NASA, Oleg Novitsky of Russia, as well as Pyotr Dubrov of Russia as well. The next major call we can expect to hear is that Crew Dragon has arrived at the docking axis directly above that IDA-3. Great view from the Dragon itself right now. The vehicle is 56 meters away, and we'll be looking for it to arrive around 60 meters. However, they do not necessarily have to complete a hold at that docking axis. They may move very quickly directly to waypoint 2, that 20-meter mark away from the International Space Station. We also have confirmation that the soft docking ring is fully deployed. We mentioned that will come in contact with the International Space Station, and the sensor will retract until the sensors indicate those hooks are ready to drive and create that firm seal.
And just some phenomenal views of the transition maneuver and Crew Dragon today. Got about 11 minutes left of sunlight.
The astronauts aboard Crew Dragon are remaining in their seats and in their suits for today's maneuver. After launch and on the ride home, sometimes they have the opportunity to get out of their seats and suits. However, because there is so much dynamic activity happening in this relatively short maneuver, about 45 minutes, the crew members will remain seated and suited for today's mission.
We are just under 2 minutes from being lined up with that new Zenith docking access. From there, we'll await the go to approach waypoint 2. Again, that is 20 meters away from the station.
There will be a hold conducted at waypoint 2. At 20 meters, that'll be for final alignment and checkout of Dragon, as well as checking any lighting conditions and confirming that all teams on the ground are ready for final approach.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Dragon has arrived at the second 60-meter hold point. Dragon is configured for docking. The ground is go for a continued approach, and when you are ready, you are go to command resume to approach to waypoint 2.
Dragon copies. We're at the 60-meter hold on the docking axis. Ground is go for resuming the approach, and we have the go when we're ready.
Read back.
Station Houston on space to ground 2 for Kate.
SpaceX Dragon, we've commanded the resume.
And Dragon SpaceX, we see it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Hopper.
And Kate, approach is resuming to waypoint 2. Monitor per step 2 in 1.104. Crew Dragon approach and retreat monitoring.
One decimal 104.
Right on the timeline, Crew Dragon moving in toward waypoint 2, 20 meters above IDA 3 on the International Space Station.
And it'll take about 5 minutes to get to waypoint 2, about 20 meters away from the International Space Station. But for those that are just joining us, a summary of events so far. The Dragon resilient spacecraft successfully undocked from the International Space Station at 5:30 Central Time. It backed up and got LiDAR acquisition and completed its transition maneuver from the IDA-2 docking access to the IDA-3 docking access. You just heard the call-outs that we are resuming approach towards waypoint 2.
Ground 2, ISS crew is ready. Procedure review complete. Docking ready from ISS.
Houston copies.
We started at 60 meters away, and we are currently at 40 meters away. And once we reach 20, we will hold for the go of final approach and dock.
As we heard them relay to teams on the ground, the crew is the one who sent the command for approach to waypoint 2 today. This can be a fully autonomous procedure. However, the crew is getting the chance to test out some of those features on Crew Dragon themselves.
Dragon SpaceX on the Big Loop. The ground is go for approach 2. Please confirm you are ready for final approach and your visors are down.
Bueno, parece que están aproximándose por fin. Ahí vemos cómo salen esos rayitos en la Crew Dragon que van dirigiéndolo hasta la estación internacional.
SpaceX copies. Visors closed. We will be commanding the approach allow and resume shortly. As a reminder, once Dragon is inside the crew hands-off point, retreat and breakout are not permitted.
Coming up on that 20-meter mark away from station at waypoint 2.
Tienen que ir hacia la ISS y no hay vuelta atrás. O sea, lo que hagan ahora lo tienen que tener todo calculado para conectar perfectamente con la ISS.
Capcom relaying up information about the crew hands-off point.
Down 2 for Kate. Monitor per steps 3 and 4.
Allá vamos.
Copy, go for approach 2.
And with that, Kate, you are go to monitor per step 3 and 4.
Crews and teams giving their go for approach. As we were discussing that crew hands-off point or CHOP, you'll hear that call about 2 meters before contact, meaning if the vehicle needs to abort today's docking with the International Space Station, it can still occur, but will not be triggered by the crew and should be triggered by Dragon itself.
The final approach is going to take approximately 4 minutes. And if you look closely, you can see the Draco engines on the service section of Dragon becoming more and more active, making minor adjustments as we continue to approach the International Space Station.
Crew Dragon now 15 meters away from IDA-3.
Recordemos que dentro de esa Crew Dragon van estos 4 astronautas.
International Space Station and Crew Dragon recently crossed the Terminator line, that difference between day and night. We're currently flying 261 statute miles over South Korea.
Saldrán estos otros. El 22 de abril saldrán en la Crew Dragon 2 hacia la ISS estos otros 4 astronautas. Y aquí lo tenemos. Ya que debe quedar muy poquito para que conecte otra vez con la ISS. Recordamos que lo que han hecho es cambiar de módulo donde estaba la Crew Dragon. Se han soltado de la ISS, se han movido un poquito alrededor de ella y ahora están volviéndose a acercar a otro módulo dentro de la ISS. La ISS que la vimos ayer espectacular pasar por Madrid a las 9:30 de la tarde. Lo estuve siguiendo en directo en mi canal de Twitch, Cielo Friki.
See the soft docking capture ring.
Dentro de poco tenemos oportunidad
Again, once we
de verla
get
otra
around
vez y
2
de ver
meters,
más y de
we
ver
should go off the
Starlinks, a ver si
chopper,
los
which
vemos
stands
por
for
fin
crew
bien.
hands off point.
Pero sabemos
Means that any
que como
abort
hay mucha
initiated by
polémica
Dragon needs to be initiated by Dragon
con los
after that
Starlink,
point
con
rather
los
than by the crew.
astrofotógrafos y tal,
Now just under
de que se
5
cruzan
meters
en
away from the
medio,
International
Elon
Space
Musk
Station.
5 meters.
ha hecho que los Starlink no sean tan visibles desde la Tierra, girándolos un poco, cambiando los paneles solares. Bueno, vemos que la Crew Dragon está entrando ya al ladito, está ya muy cerquita de la ISS, va a acoplarse. Esperemos que todo vaya normal, sin problemas. Parece que están ahí yendo súper despacito, pero es que van a miles de kilómetros por hora respecto de la Tierra, van avanzando a unos 7 kilómetros por segundo. Pero respecto... ahí se está acoplando. Respecto de la ISS, pues nada, van a centímetros por segundo. El acoplamiento parece que va perfecto.
Dragon SpaceX soft capture confirmed.
Uf, no sé, ahí... Sí, se ha capturado, confirmado. Se ha movido un poco hacia afuera otra vez y se ha quedado... Bueno, parece que sí. Ha ido bien. Ha ido bien. Ha ido bien. Por un momento creíamos que se volvía a soltar.
On the space-facing port of the Harmony module on the International Space Station.
Está el
That coming
adaptador.
at 6:08 a.m. Central Time, 11:08 GMT. While stationed in Dragon, we're flying 261 statute miles in
Bueno,
altitude
38
just to
minutos ha
the south
durado
of
este
Japan.
desacoplamiento y acoplamiento de nuevo.
Dragon
Ahora mismo
SpaceX on
la
the
ISS
Big
va
Loop.
por el
Soft
sur de
capture
Japón.
ring retraction in progress.
Tengo por aquí una ventanita, a ver si lo puedo poner, en la que sale por dónde está yendo la estación
That
internacional.
soft capture ring will continue until sensors indicate those hooks are ready to drive and create the hard capture, and that should take about 15 minutes.
Si no, os las enseño desde el móvil. A ver si lo puedo poner por aquí. Bueno, está perfectamente acoplado, ¿eh? No ha habido
And
problemas.
Dragon will remain here
Ahora, bueno, pues los
for a little bit
astronautas tendrán
while, as Leah
que
mentioned,
salir,
we retract the
volver a
soft
entrar
capture
en
ring,
la ISS.
Put the final hooks in place, and then confirm a hard mate, which again is an airtight seal around between the crew vehicle and the International Space Station. After hard capture is complete, we do
Si tengo una
expect
aplicación en la que te dice
a
dónde
couple more
está,
leak checks and the hatch to be opened
dónde está
about
exactamente la ISS.
2 hours later. Again, we are
Correcto.
targeting 8:30 a.m. Central Time for the hatch to open up.
A recap at what we've seen with this port relocation. The undock sequence was commanded at 5:25 a.m. Central Time, and right on time, Crew Dragon undocked at 5:30 a.m. Central, 10:30 GMT. Crew Dragon back away to about 60 meters on that undocking axis before making a transition maneuver to just above the station and the zenith or space-facing port of IDA-3.
A ver si lo
We saw
podéis
Crew
ver.
Dragon move into waypoint 2, which is 20 meters away from the International Space Station, before making its slow and final approach to the space station itself, docking at 6:08 a.m. Central Time, 11:08
Bueno, pues
GMT.
allá a Japón. A ver si lo podéis ver. A ver si lo podéis ver ahí así. Bueno, no se ve una mierda. Yo creo que os lo puedo poner por la pantalla mejor. Pero vamos, está ha pasado Japón, va como hacia el sureste, hacia Australia. A ver cómo está sobre el Océano Pacífico la ISS.
This vehicle was the first operational crewed flight of a Crew Dragon spacecraft. It launched November of 2020 from Kennedy Space Center off of Pad 39A and originally docked to International Docking Adapter 2.
On the big loop, ring retraction is complete. Docking sequence is holding for MCS reconfiguration.
Copies with you, then.
Bueno, pues no sé cómo ponerlo, ya lo averiguaré.
Things continuing
Y
to go
vamos a
well for
desconectar
the
aquí ya,
docking
ya todo ha salido bien.
sequence.